My name is Devin Grockwitz. I am one of the co-founders of Wizio. I am also the CEO. Wizio got started about 3 years ago as a ratings platform for apartments after my roommate and I had a particularly awful experience trying to find our next apartment. Fast forward through several business model pivots, and we launched on-demand virtual reality services this past August. So let's talk about the VR market a little bit. Real estate is expected to be the second market impacted by virtual reality. Demand for VR services by 2025 is expected to hit about 2.6 billion. And there are two major challenges for market adoption: content capture and content delivery. At Wizio, we provide a team of on-demand contractors that can go out and film within 24 hours notice. And we provide plug-and-play tools for that virtual tour experience that we create. You can actually go ahead and see a sample on your phones if you'd like. So moving along, we are focused on downstream value adds on our VR services. So one of the major asks from our customers is developing a library that would allow us to remove objects from these 360 images that we create for them. So we're actually launching that this quarter. And coming up in our pipeline, we also have a couple other value adds, including neighborhood tour services, so being able to explore the neighborhood around your listing in 360, as well as floor plan creation from our 360 images and 3D modeling. Thinking about our business model, we have two sides to our business. We have a sales listing side, so we charge a flat rate fee for our sales listings. And then we also charge a low-cost setup fee for our rental listings, and then an ongoing annual licensing fee for that data. So we host all of this data for our customers. All of our team are recent graduates or students from Northeastern University. Our domain expertise varies from geospatial imaging to machine learning to management information systems to design and many others. And that is my presentation. I'd like to take any questions at this time. I know I left a few things out, so I'm curious what comes up.
So about the neighborhood tours, how is that going to be different from Google Street View?
So that's a great question. So Google Street View is focused on those the streets. So generally we're looking at a lot of our data is parks and monuments, though Google just actually announced a new library that you can use to upload your own 360 photos to Street View. So it is possible that that's definitely a risk. So it's exciting, but we'll see what happens with that. Yeah. Other questions?
You said remove objects.
Yes.
Is that like you guys came to film my apartment and I left my underwear on the floor? Like you could take that out?
Yes. So we take a look at that 360 image. It's a machine learning library that we're using. And we basically use point cloud identification on all of the objects in that photo, and then remove your underwear, or maybe the poster on the wall, or the furniture. In the case of our customers, we're actually removing almost all of the objects to make it appear vacant.
One more question. So when you talk about virtual reality, are you also taking into consideration VR headsets?
So we actually used to have VR headset capability and compatibility, specifically Google Cardboard. We removed that for the time being just because we haven't quite seen widespread market adoption, and it was a little bit of a distraction. People would enable that VR view and get distracted. Thinking about the real estate community as a whole, it's a pretty aged community, so we need to make sure the experiences that we're providing our customers when they're considering this technology doesn't get them confused or lost in another, maybe they enable the VR view without dropping their phone into a headset, and then they don't know how to get out of it. So for now, we've disabled that.
What type of camera do you use? Is it just ordinary 360 camera?
Yeah, so we are camera agnostic. So we can use any 360 camera with our imaging services. So in theory, actually, a customer could come to us if they're using an existing camera and looking for a hosting provider and a VR player. They could use our technology for that as well, which currently we do that on a case-by-case basis.
second question. So do you do any analysis on the images that are captured? Anything or?
Yeah, so that machine learning library that I talked about, that is basically our image analysis. So we're looking at those 360 images and basically converting them into a color map. And then we use that to identify objects, to remove them, and then taking that color map back and applying the original RGB values to create a image output. Sorry, I know that was kind of a long-winded answer, but I hope it answered you.
So you spoke about sellers and renters, but is there like an alliances model with the major real estate and property sites?
So you're asking, is there a partnership opportunity with some of these major players in the real estate industry, like maybe Zillow, for example? So Zillow, actually, they just announced their own app that you can use for your phone to create 360 photos, which I think about 5 to 10% of the real estate market will adopt. And a big challenge of that is just convincing someone to use. We actually started as a subscription service to let other people DIY their content. And it's very challenging to get people to pick up new technology like that. So instead, we provide them with a end-to-end full-service solution instead. In the case of getting our content onto those sites, Zillow does have an option to drop a virtual tour link onto their listings. So we, as a virtual tour provider, basically provide that link so you could do that. I think you had a question, sir.
Who owns the right of the content? Like after people order the service, ask you to take this, who owns the right?
Who orders this type of content?
No, who owns the right?
Oh, who owns the rights to this data? So we provide a license to use this data, but in the end, we are the exclusive owners of any data that we collect, which is pretty common practice across the virtual tour industry. Any other questions?
Do you have any, game parlors as clients?
Game partners?
Game parlors where you can, like you have laser tag, or
Ooh.
they want to display their arena. They want to market their place, right?
Yes.
So that kids can go there and play. And
yeah. So basically, the idea of partnering with smaller venues. We've done a little bit of that, but most of our work is focused on those larger volume clients. So we're looking at property managers of 14,000 rental units or 3,000, whatever that number might be, just because the cost of customer acquisition tends to be pretty high. So by focusing on those bigger ticket clients, we just have more revenue opportunity.
Do you foresee being an adjunct or an additional vendor for a multiple listing service where they already have like 2 or 3 for each one of those, or are you doing that already?
So we have attempted to pursue basically like a partner services or affiliate services. We're looking at one right now with a FSBO site. So they basically provide services for sale by owners, and they wanted to have a vendor that they could refer people to for virtual tours. Right now, we're not. That's not something we're aggressively pursuing, but it's something. It's a good sales channel, definitely, and I appreciate that you brought that up. Jim, go ahead.
Both still and video?
So we have done 360 video in the past. There's less, we sort of have less differentiation in 360 video because it's very easy to put up a 360 video on, say, YouTube or Vimeo. So you can work with, maybe, I don't know if, Nate, if you've done any 360 video before.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
So that, there's a lot of opportunity to work with professional photographers in that area. So we don't quite do that yet. We've considered, is there a way we could standardize the 360 video creation? I'm sure there is, but we haven't seen quite enough client interest yet for something like that.
One more.
Awesome. One more question. Anyone? Go ahead.
Your favorite piece of real estate you've seen inside of your product?
Oh man, so there was a piece of, there's about a 6-story property that we saw right along the Charles that had basically a 360 view where you could look into, basically you could see into the Boston Common, and you could see the skyline of the towers, and you could see, all the way up the river. It was just an amazing, amazing view. So yeah, it tends to be the views. Awesome, well thank you for your time, everyone. Really appreciate it. Thanks, Chris.